Hey everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Reroll, where everything works right the first time and we never have to try any technical problems, or try to overcome any technical problems. I am your host, Koibu, and this week we are going to be talking about the same thing we talk about every week, which is what has happened in the last 7 days on Twitch. So without further ado, let us talk about Roleplay Solemn. If you don't want any spoilers for last week, this is the time to tune out, because Roleplay Solemn's happening in like 4 hours. Alright, Roleplay Solemn. Oh my god. So, this last week, the party started off in the forest that they were sent to, go find this portal in and figure out what's going up over there. So they walked around, they found these weird, black, leathery, shiny, winged creatures that would swoop down and try and pick people up and drop them. And Leia almost died. The rest of the party managed to deal with them fairly well. They did breathe fire, but not that often. A little bit surprising. And after they dealt with these creatures, well, I guess Leia died almost died later, but whatever. After they dealt with these creatures, at the portal, because they found the portal, this man in brown robes comes out and tells them that the child's life is in danger, and he tells them that if they want to stop the war, they should bring the child back to him in 3 months' time. And the party's like, okay, sure. They're not so sure. He speaks directly to Leia at some point, and Leia recognizes him as one of the guys that helped her teleport around, so she knows that he's a wizard working for Verasi. Not sure why he's here, though. No one really knows. Anyway, so after dealing with that, they decide to peace out. The portal closes as the man goes back through, or after, a few moments after he goes back through. And they leave the woods after fighting more of those weird, winged, black, leathery creature type things. Coming back to their headquarters, there's a bit of a debriefing where the higher-ups are not so sure about Leia. You've got, oh god, I'm going to blank on their names. You've got the King Longborn. You've got King Swiftwind. And you've got the dwarf who is Thane... Oh god, Firestone or Emberstone Thane Emberstone. There we go. And the three of them kind of grill the party about Leia, like, can she be trusted after this whole... Because the party relays all the information to them. And like, wow, so this guy was talking to Leia and was trying to get Leia to help them. Do we trust her? They kick Leia out. They question the party. Can she be trusted? We don't know. Party all seems to agree that Leia can be trusted. And they get a new mission. But one of the warnings that the man said, the weird brown-robed man said, was beware of the Crimson Hound. And the right hand of the king is this man named Balbanes, the emblem of his house is a Crimson Hound. And so the party's a little bit wary of him, and he seems to be a raging asshole. He's really upset with the party, kind of bitter at them, it seems. The party gets equipped with all these magic weapons, and he seems to be a little bit unhappy about it. The party also gets a debriefing, or a briefing on what their next mission should be, which is to break into the castle on the other side of the river of the Golden Span, and somehow find a way to destroy the source of their anti-magic aura. And they know that the source is down in the dungeons somewhere. Meanwhile, the Longborn Kingdom and all their allies are going to launch a big offensive to the north with ships, and hopefully to distract people from the castle so the party can sneak in and do their shit. Party goes across the river at night on some boats, gets spotted but takes out all but one of the orc guards who flees, and the party never chases after him. The party gets up to the castle, breaks in. Blum doesn't really break in, kind of walks in. When questioned, they use that slip of paper about Felicity to get their way through. And meet up with the captain, who's this orc, this well put together, not blood-vicious murderer orc, who seems to have a semblance of honor and decency and order. And after talking to him, he shows them around, because they have this whole story about what they're doing there. So he shows them to the area where all the supplies are kept, which is actually conveniently one level above the dungeons, because they're saying they're bringing in these supplies and blah, blah, blah. Eventually he leaves them there, and they start to poke around and look around for what might be what. And that's where we leave Roleplay Solemn. In the castle, in the enemy's castle, underground, in their supply room, just above the dungeons where they're supposed to go break something that will, in theory, disrupt the anti-magic aura surrounding the castle so that the Longborns can, fireball the shit out of it or whatever. And that is where we leave Roleplay Solemn. So, if you are interested in what might happen next, which you probably are, you should tune into Roleplay Solemn, which takes place in about 4 hours from now. Unless, of course, you're viewing this on YouTube, in which case it happened a couple days ago. Moving on to Dicing with Death. If you're ready for that, then stay tuned. If you don't want spoilers, then mute it until the Dicing with Death logo goes away. Dicing with Death, episode 17 of Qualnir, which is actually quite a long time. I think at this point, half of Dicing with Death has been with Qualnir. What did we do? Oh, this was the Ruby episode, yes. So, Qualnir and Michelle head overseas and make their way back to the Ruby mine, where, what was his name? Jakob is. And we kill some of his scouts along the way, and use some magic to get in as undetected as possible, fight our way back to Jakob, and get into a really gnarly fight with Jakob and his dudes. But we managed to cast it. Michelle gets an insatiable thirst off on Jakob, and his gnolls are freaking the fuck out because Jakob is drinking everything. In fact, at one point he goes over to a chamber pot and starts drinking it because insatiable thirst makes you think you're dying of thirst, so you'll drink anything, unless it's obviously a poison. I give him an antidote, which is just a very, very unpleasant, debilitating poison that he'll have to suffer with for a long time. And peace out. They leave because they're freaked out. I got a wizard on my side, and I'm hacked to death a bunch of their gnolls, but I take a lot of damage. I have some really, really bad rolls. There's like 5 ones in the 5 natural ones to hit in a period of like 2 hours. It was disgusting. It was really, really bad for me. Anyway, we get them out. We free the prisoners, the slaves that they have there, and all the slaves haul a bunch of ruby ore back with us. We managed to get all the way back to Sinteron. Oh, there was a troll fight in there somewhere, which was pretty cool. And once we managed to get all the way back to Sinteron, I take one of the slaves with me back on a ship to Solstice, where he will function as my cook. And I just release the rest of the slaves, and I give them some money and wealth. And that's where we end off with Dicing with Death. Qualnir now has, I want to say, 1,050 pounds of ruby ore, and I need to go find myself someone who can refine ruby ore into rubies and yada yada yada. And I kind of have a contact with that unnamed inn down by the waterfront of Solstice. The innkeeper there, the bartender there, has a cousin who can cut rubies and cut gems. We'll see about that. We might employ him to cut gems, or he might just go missing and end up in my secret dungeon where he can cut gems. We'll see. That's all for Dicing with Death. If you're interested in checking out more, the next episode is going to be on Thursday of this week. So that is the 23rd. Thursday the 23rd. Yeah, so moving on to Honorbound. If you don't want Honorbound spoilers, now's the time to tune out. Okay, Honorbound Redemption of the New Guard. Week 11, or episode 11. Okay, we just played Honorbound yesterday. Come on, Neil, you can remember what we did. So we do like a 5-hour episode instead of a 4-hour episode. But the first like 2.5 hours are taken up with this tournament that we're doing. We don't win the joust, we don't win the melee. I win the archery contest, which gives me a magic quiver of arrows that is forever replenishing and +1 to hit and damage. So, woo! But we didn't win the melee, and we didn't win the... Oh, we did win the melee. I take it back. We did win the melee, which gives Ryan a +1 Morning Star and some gold. And I win the archery contest, which gives me just the quiver. Then we talk with these dwarves that are in the castle. Because we're in the dwarven region, which somehow went right over my head that these were all dwarves we were talking with. Even though their castle is human-sized and it's above ground and outside of the mountain, there's a lot of questions. Anyway, we talk with them. We're trying to get to this place, and we're kind of being given the runaround, and there's some really suspicious things going on. There's like a 2,000-year-old elf woman who's a prophet who uses some tarot cards to read our future and then dies on the spot, and it's all really suspicious. But the end story is we need to get this horn to get to the place we need to go, but the horn's been eaten by this monster, this beast that people have been seeing everywhere. I don't know how we know that it's been eaten by that monster in particular, but that's okay. You don't have to fill in every plot hole. Or maybe it's not a plot hole. Maybe we just haven't figured it out yet. Anyway, the point is we spend a bunch of time trying to figure out if we're going to bring anyone with us to go fight this creature, or if we're going to go fight it alone. And after some debating, we come to our conclusion. And next episode, I think we're going to go set off and fight this creature, which it appears to be like a boule, because it's a creature that burrows underground and has steel-like skin and, you know, eats dwarves readily. So out of game, we're thinking boule. In game, some crazy large dwarf-eating land, like metal gopher or something. I don't know. Yeah. And that's it for Honorbound, Redemption of the New Guard, which was pretty good. Again, there's no misclicks for a while longer. We have no idea for how much longer. But there's no misclicks for now. And yeah, that's it. So, Honorbound is next Sunday again. So, that has been it for the Weekly Reroll. If you stay tuned, we're going to hop into some cartography. And then I have to go plan the rest of Roleplay Solemn. So, see you around, and take care.